Good morning, traders. Welcome to this week's Elliott Wave Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you all had a wonderful week. It has been quite a slow market over the last couple of days, but is the market setting up for new trends? That's what we're going to be looking at this morning, looking for new trading opportunities. So May has been quite a slow month, so hoping that June, July should be a better month, or we should end June on a positive note. All right, so let's get started. Before we start, if you'd like to contact us, check out our contact details under the description of all our videos. You'll find all our videos on our channel. If you just click any of our videos under the description, you will find our contact details. That is the link to our website, as well as our social media pages. That is Twitter and Facebook. You can also find the Twitter feed and the Facebook feed at the homepage of our website. Then you can just follow us there for all the updates that we post up there. So we prefer that if you have any inquiries, you contact us via this global chat on the website. That's where you will get the quickest response on the global chat. So let me just highlight it here. So this is the global chat on the website. Make your inquiries through this chat. That is how you get the quickest response. On that note, our next course, the live course, is going to start on the 5th of July. It is a 10-day live course. So even if you do purchase the course on the website, you get the recorded one immediately, then you start watching the course. So the idea is that when we have the live course, you've already watched the recorded version, so you can engage and interact during the live session in July. So that is scheduled for July. Check out our different specials there on the courses. So this 15% off actually ends at the end of today. So for those that will watch this today, you'll be fortunate to still find it there. Right, so let's get started with this week's analysis. We're gonna start with the DXY and Euro US dollar. So Euro US dollar, during the NFP, we were looking for that to bounce off from the blue box here as follows. We're looking at this as a simple three-wave corrective structure. Let's switch this off first. So we were looking at this as a three-wave corrective structure and for this to bounce. So we have bounced up here during the NFP. So this is where we bounced off. This was our blue box. We only bounced off just a small move here. So what we are seeing here now is that there are two possibilities. This correction is not over as yet. And we were looking at this to be a wave one. Let's just show this one, wave one and a two, and then we're starting a lower green degree here as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't look like that. So this looks like it is all the wave one here. Okay, so this whole thing here is a wave one as follows in the minor degree, 1, 2. So we'd expect this correction to get to about 50% of the whole move before we resume higher. So how does it get to the 50%? We could be getting this as a corrective structure as follows. So we've got 3 waves down here. We'll expect another 3 waves here before we resume and move to the upside. So we'll be looking for this correction here to give us a double correction here. So we're expecting only a single ABC and then upside, but this seems to be making a double here. So let's watch how this plays out. So you can see that I'm indicating that we're going to have a bounce here. We don't necessarily have to have a bounce. If this does not give you a bounce, either way, what we are looking for is to trade when this correction is over. So what if it plays out in this form? Will it make any difference if Euro US dollar plays out the following structure? Let's have a look at that structure. So this is one, this is wave two here. This actually does like a structure like this. That will still be a simple zigzag correction in as follows: 1, 2, 3 there, 1, 2, 3 there, 1, 2, 3 there, and then we still bounce. That does not change the overall structure as a WXY corrective structure, and the fact that we'll still want this to trade this at about 50-61% of the original move. Then that will be a wave 1, 2, and then we go for a 5. So what are we talking about when we're talking about a 5 here? If we go to our chart here on the daily, so let's just have a look here on the daily chart so we can show you where this comes from. So if you look at the daily charts and that wave 5 that we're speaking about, this is the wave 5 we're speaking about. So from around 1900, we've been looking for that to give us that move to the upside. So currently what we have here is a leg 1, and that was what I was showing you earlier on. We're looking for a 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So we are still just looking for a 2 here and then 4 and a 5. So currently we've got 1, 2. Are we going to get a move to the upside? That's what we're going to be looking for. So if we look at the DXY, it is a similar structure. So let's just have a look here closely first. Yes, let's go to the DXY. So the DXY will be the inverse of what we're looking at on Euro US dollar. Again, two possibilities here. This is also still a wave 1 of the 5th. Wave 1 in the minor degree, we'll be looking for this to pull back to about to about 61% as follows. So we'll be looking for this to give us a structure like this, a 3-wave structure to the downside. And internally here, you'll see that we'll have in the green degree 1, 2, 3. This is going to be a bit messy here, but we're looking for this. This is where we are currently. We look for a pullback and a move to the upside. That is the one alternative that will give us a WXY corrective structure. So it looks like we're going to have a pullback to about 50%. The structure is still the same. We're still looking at this as wave 1, 2. We're still looking for this to go to wave 5, wave 4, 3, 4, and a 5 to complete that wave 5. And again, if I have to show you this one here on the structure here on the DXY, this is what it looks like. Let's have a look here on the daily on the DXY. You'll see that it is the inverse of Euro US dollar, and we'll be looking for this one to continue to the downside. So if you look at that, this is what we are looking at here. We're looking for this wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 to complete this 5th wave here. That is what we are looking for on the DXY and the euro. So two possibilities there, but that will form a similar structure. Either way, what we're doing here is we are only going to trade when this correction is done. So let's see how it goes when we get to that level. Right, so let's look at the rest here. Pound US dollar on the 4-hour. We're looking for this one to bounce to the upside. It's also making a double as follows. If you look at that, we've got a flat correction here in the middle. We have come here, we are pulling back here in 3 waves to the downside, 3 waves to the upside, complex B correction there. We'll expect this one before we resume a move to the upside. Our target has always been 144 here. Are we going to get to 144? That's what we're looking for here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We are looking for another 1. This is where we are currently. We'll expect a bit of a pullback, move to the downside, and then a resumption of the move to the upside on pound US dollar. Why are we looking for pound US dollar to continue pushing to the upside? If you look at the weekly chart is telling, are we ready for a reversal? So this is what we've been looking for. This is why we've been buying pound US dollar for a long time. So we've been buying pound US dollar for a long time because we're looking for this flat correction to complete. This is where we are currently. We're just missing this here. Remember, according to the guidelines, then there's nothing that says this must touch that. So we want to see if we can have confirmation for this to push to the upside. So somebody's saying, how do you know that the correction is over? You need to understand the cycle and the sequence. You also need to understand the characteristics of a correction. And what we also use is a very special indicator that tells us when a trend is at the reversal area or reaction area. Okay, so that is what we're looking at on pound US dollar. Let's go back to the lower time frame. That is the 4-hour. We're looking for a push, a bit of a push to the downside over the next coming sessions before any reversal to the upside. Could this be the end? We're still expecting one more up. So even if you do get a trade to the upside, you need to trade it cautiously, because at this level, that is the level where it makes a flat correction. So that is how we're going to be looking at pound US dollar. Chief, last week we mentioned that Chief, we want this. We had a 3-wave corrective structure like this. So we were pushing down here like this, but as you can see, this was pushing correctively. So we expect this one to make another 3-wave pullback here. So maybe short-term dollar strength over the next coming session. Will it be just to get to this level and we continue lower? But for now, we are going to look for this to come around this level only. That's what we're looking for on US dollar Chief. Now, US dollar Chief, I have said for the last couple of days that we have reached this level here on the weekly chart. This is the part that you guys mostly do not see. We have made this big flat correction, multi-year flat correction here as follows, with a textbook flat 3 here, 3 down, 3 up, and a 5-wave move to the downside, which gives you an ABC corrective structure. And as I have been saying, you don't just come here and start buying. They won't push it down for 3 years and then just come and push it to the upside like this. The market does not work like that. There has to be some people who lose money who do not know the entries. So if you look at this, you find that you just come here and buy, but it still pushes lower, but you don't know how far this is. That's why people will panic and get out of their positions or in the right direction. So what happens here is we have been saying look for this to start giving us a base, look for this to start giving us confirmation for upside. We are almost just there. It is not yet confirmed that we are going to get this to push to the upside as yet. This is the weekly chart, so we wait for the indicator to confirm this. One specific thing that the indicator tells us for us to confirm that it is due for a reversal. So as you can see here, just talking about the RSI, everybody understand how the RSI works. There was some divergence on the RSI. That does not mean much. So, but we have been talking about that divergence that started around that area on US dollar CAD, looking for this one to start making a reversal. So there's the divergence which we saw as this was still making the lower lows here. But is this the end? Is this the start of the move to the upside? We have not got the last bit of confirmation for that. So we will wait for this one to give us confirmation for a move. Even if you do get that, you may find that you still just get a three-wave pullback like this 1, 2, 3. It will not necessarily mean that we are ready for a move to the upside. You can get a three-wave structure, make one more move to the downside before we actually push to the upside. So this is an accumulation area. They need to be buyers around these areas, and it takes time to accumulate those before we push the price to the upside. That is US dollar CAD, your Audi US dollar. Let's have a look at Audi US dollar. So a very interesting structure on Audi US dollar. So we have got something like this here. We have got a complex correction. The complex correction is something that most people don't understand. So this is the complex correction here. So we'll be looking for this to make another pulsing move to the downside. Are we going to get a reversal from around that area? But we still expect this to make a bit of a push to the downside before any reversal to the upside. That would be an ABC corrective structure, not a WXY structure, but an ABC corrective structure. New Zealand US dollar. Okay, so New Zealand US dollar has completed the structure that we were expecting. So last week we were looking for New Zealand US dollar to give us this structure. And if you look at this structure, it is perfect in the sense that we've got three waves exactly here, three waves to the upside, three waves to the downside here. So we've got a clear WXY corrective structure in this degree here. Are we starting to get a bounce here? So let's watch New Zealand US dollar for a bit of a push to the downside and see if we're going to get a bounce, whether that bounce is going to be a continuation to the upside or just a reaction. Okay, so as you can see, for the last couple of days, for the month of May, this has been the range, and that is the case for most of the pairs. So you know who wants to trade within this range? You're just going to lose money. Okay, so you want to have clear trends like this. You want to have clear trends like this. That's where you want to trade. There are no emotions involved there because the price does what it's supposed to do. It's either you're wrong or you're right. So here you never know, because so the one moment you're in the positive, the one moment you're in the negative, right? So now this is pound yen. Pound yen, we need to confirm here. So last week we were looking for this to give us a three-wave corrective structure. It has played out a textbook WXY corrective structure. Now the question is, do we get a reaction from there? We have already gotten a reaction here. We have pulled back to the 50%. Are we now going to push to the upside? So we want to get confirmation of a setup from around this area. But remember again, pound yen was also almost close to the area where we're expecting a reversal on the weekly. Check this out on the weekly. I've shown this one a couple of times, but I'm going to show it again because this is where we are currently. So just like pound US dollar, this is the reason why we've been buying pound yen. We are looking for this flat correction. So is this going to give us an expanding flat? We could have already made 5 waves here, the way we're going to start looking for a reversal here. If you look at the indicator here, there is no divergence though, not the indicator, rather the RSI. There's no divergence on the RSI as yet. So this is a new high here on the RSI. So there's actually a small divergence. There is actually a small divergence. Let's clear it here on the weekly chart here. So if you look on the weekly, there's actually a very clear divergence. We should have spotted that. So there's very clear divergence here. Look at this here, from this high to this high. Look at the divergence. Price makes a new high, but what does the RSI do? The RSI makes a new low. So that is there's divergence on the RSI. So please don't get confused with this. This is not the indicator that I'm referring to that we use. This is a simple RSI that everyone knows, that everyone has in their platforms, right? So we'll be looking for, is this one, has this reached the level here? It is missing this level by a measly few pips, but as again as I've said, there's nothing that says this must take this here before it reverses. It can actually reverse from current levels. Right, so that is the reason why we've been looking for this. So this is the part that you guys mostly do not see. Let me show you that on our site here. So let's have a look here on pound yen, the daily chart on pound yen. So you can see where that comes from. So yen pairs. So we've got over 52 pairs listed here on our site that are updated on a daily basis. The 1 hour charts are updated every single day just before the London session. And if there are changes, we also update them during the New York session. Every single day, members have got a view of what we expect to happen on the day. And 8 a.m. GMT, Mondays to Friday, we go through those charts in our live trading room. Let's have a look at this one on the daily. So the daily, this is what we've been expecting here on pound. This is when it was still on 150. We've now reached 156. That is now 600 pips later. But if you look at this here on the weekly, you'll see that we have been expecting a move to the upside for a while. Okay, so this is the latest update. Even when we were still here, we've been looking for this. That's why we've been buying pound yen from around this area here. Okay, so if you have got a structure like this, you should be able to know which direction to trade. US dollar yen. Okay, so US dollar yen, it's still a bit tricky. I'm on the weekly chart still. I'm going to go to the lower time frame. It looks like US dollar yen, we're going to have this corrective structure here. Okay, we're going to have a bit of a pullback here on the weekly. Let's go down to the lower time frame on the 4 and the 1 hour. So US dollar yen, we're looking for this to give us this corrective structure here. Maybe a bit of a move to the downside here for the next coming session. Right, euro yen. Euro yen, we've been looking for this to give us this corrective structure. If you look at euro yen on the 4 hour, let's have a look here. So euro yen 4 hour, we have been looking at that corrective structure. That is what is playing out here. We're looking at this to be the blue wave 4. We have now completed, almost completing this 3-wave corrective structure. As you can see here on the live chart, that we are almost there. We are correcting. That is the structure here. So we see these things before they happen. That is euro yen. We're looking for a move to the upside. Chief yen, excuse me. So chief yen, we're expecting a structure like this. So we had a 3-wave pullback, which we expected to push to the upside. But as you can see, when you get to this structural level here, this seems to be giving us a complex correction. So we're going to expect something like this before we push to the upside. Then that is going to give us an A, B, C corrective structure for another leg to the upside. Now, chief yen, you have to look at this as well. We are very close to a reversal area. If I'm showing you the daily, if I have to show you the daily here, you'll see, rather let me show you the weeklies. That will make much more sense on chief. So we've got a simple 3-wave corrective structure here as follows on chief, an ABC corrective structure. We will be looking for this to slightly push to around this area before we get any signs of reversal. That is chief yen, CAD yen. CAD yen, look at this on the weekly. All of them, they are at critical areas. Most of the yen pairs are at critical areas. We're going to expect that at this level, we're going to have a push to the downside. So that is where we are currently. We're looking for this. Do we have divergence there? Remember, divergence does not tell you where reversal is going to happen. It tells you that it is imminent, or a reaction is imminent, right? So this is where we are currently. We've gone and made a new high. Okay, on CAD yen, what is happening with the RSI? The RSI is making a new low. So this on CAD yen, we may be starting a pullback or a deeper pullback or a reversal at that area. So we're going to watch that in the lower degrees here on the 1 hour to start seeing signs of reversal, to start getting entries here. We're going to get those. So that is what we're going to be watching here on CAD yen. We've started with the move to the downside. This looks like a 5-wave move actually. It started as a corrective structure. This looks like a 5-wave move. We're going to expect a corrective structure if we're going to start getting a move to the downside. That is CAD yen. So look out for that, for downside, starting to be very clear. So the market is setting up very nicely. So better stay on your hands until you've got clear direction. New Zealand yen, we are looking for New Zealand yen to come around this area based simply on the structure. 3 waves down and then move to the upside here in a complex 11 string sequence here. We'll be looking for this one to come down around this area, around 75 on New Zealand yen before any resumption of a move to the upside. That will be a continuation pattern. Audi yen, similar. So Audi yen, we'll be looking for this. So we started with 3 waves to the downside, 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 up here. We're expecting the same thing here on Audi yen, for this to continue to the downside. But this here may be a little bit complex. It's not going to drop just that easily. We can form this corrective structure before we come down here, and that will give us a WXY structure for this one here to come retest this low here. Then we're going to have this one in this color, in the purple, WXY. and a Y before we resume up higher. But we're not going to worry about this here for now. We're going to worry about any signs. We're taking it one wave at a time. We look for any signs that are going to take us back to this level here. That is the leg that we're currently in. So we're taking it one wave at a time. All right, that is what we have there. Gold. Gold will be similar to AUD or Euro US dollar. So same as gold, we were looking at two options here. These two have been an expanding flat, and for gold to go from there, or either this will be an expanding flat in 3 waves to the downside, and this will give us 3 waves to the upside, then we come down here. But all the same, doesn't really matter. All that is happening here is that we are getting a corrective structure, and when that corrective structure, gold is going to resume a move to the upside. So how this plays out here is, it will only help you to understand when the corrective structure is going to end. So we're going to be looking for this here, the same way this has happened here on gold. And then after that, we're going to look for a move to the upside. But check here on gold. So this looks like the whole leg. This will be the whole leg one here. We could even get back to the 50% of the whole move, or 61% of the whole move before we resume a move to the upside. So let's watch that for now. So silver also clear. It's making a double. Silver is making a double. Let's have a look at silver. So we started with the 3 waves. We've also bounced out of this structure during the NFP, obviously because of the dollar weakness. 1, 2, 3. We bounced off from this blue box which had projected. We made this move. Now, this move to the upside is not going impulsively, it's going correctively. So we're expecting that that could be a corrective structure as follows. That's a 3-wave structure. We'll expect another 3-wave move like that. Then that makes a double as follows. Then we'll look for upside. So we are only just waiting for these to set up before we execute. So this does not, just because we know the direction does not mean that we'll be trading this. So for the next week, this is what we expect on silver. We expect for this one to start making a move to the downside. We're taking it one wave at a time. Brent crude, there's nothing to analyze on Brent crude since we took the trade here from the blue box. Remember, those that have been watching, if you go to the videos around this area, we have been looking at this to be a diagonal, which has now played out perfectly. After the diagonal, we have expected that this is going to give us a pullback and that oil was going to push to the upside. We are getting some kind of divergence at current levels here, so oil will give us a bit of a pullback for a continuation to the upside. So this will be a 1, this will be a 2. Then here we're starting with a new leg here in the green degree as follows, which will be a wave 1 here. Then we get a 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So we're making this nest to the upside until we complete that whole sequence on oil. So bullish on oil overall. Right, pound CAD. So if you look at pound CAD, we've been in this corrective structure since the beginning of May. Now, the idea here is to understand this corrective structure. So that corrective structure started with 3 waves here, and around this level we expected this to continue to the upside, but it looks like that correction is not over as yet. So that red is a 3-wave. This looks like another 3 waves here, so we're going to expect another 3 waves here before we push to the upside. Is this going to come back down? So we are going sideways. So even if we do get that move, does not look like it's going to go very far. It's going to be a simple A, B, C corrective structure here, with this being a Y here in the red degree. Let's see this one come down here. We'll be looking for an entry here for a move to the upside, but overall we are bearish on pound CAD. Pound AUD. So pound AUD looks like it's going to continue to the upside. We haven't made this continuation pattern here. Let's have a look at this one on the weekly as well. Let's look at this on the weekly. So if you look at this on the weekly, we started with 3 waves to the downside. Look at this, 1 sharp wave to the upside, 3. Then we had this corrective structure here as follows, 1, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have made a move to the downside impulsively. I'm expecting that we're going to have a similar leg to this one here. This year, before we make a move to the downside. So that corrective structure may be deep and go to the 50% of this before pushing to the downside, similar to what happened here. This was around Brexit around June 2016, when this continued to push to the upside, giving a false indication that the Brexit will have a positive reaction on pound AUD. Okay, the Brexit news is going to have a positive reaction on the pound. So look at what was happening during BRICS. It was around the Brexit. It was around the 23rd of June, if I remember the exact date. I was actually trading this, and then this dropped overnight here. Okay, so I'm expecting the same. I don't know what news will come that will result in this one dropping, but either way, that is what we're expecting. A bit of a push to the upside and then continuation to the downside. Before I go to the lower time frames on pound AUD, I want to look at the weekly on pound New Zealand as well, so you can see the similarities. So we've got this one coming down in 5 waves like that. So we've come down here, so this could also pull back here like that and then continue to the downside. Now let's go back to the 4 hour here on pound AUD, so you can see where we are in the lower degree. 4 hour. 4 hour in the short term is giving us a continuation to the upside, so we are going to expect upside here on pound AUD, playing out this continuation pattern here as follows: 1, 2, 3. We'll look for this one to continue to the upside. Okay, not a strong move to the upside. However, pound New Zealand is showing us a bit of strength to the upside. So we are going to see pound New Zealand on the 4 hour give us this corrective structure here like that. So pound New Zealand is going to continue pushing to the upside. We should see 2 on pound New Zealand in the next coming sessions. Pound CHF. Now pound CHF, we are just in this corrective structure here. Okay, this corrective structure is an A. Whatever is happening here is a big B in the red degree. This is an A. So when that B is done, we're going to expect to move to the downside and upside here on pound CHF. So let's see how that plays out. So lower degree here will be ABC corrective structure here on pound CHF. We currently here are we going to get a bounce? Watch out for that bounce on pound CHF. All right. So that is pound CHF. That's all the pound pairs. We've gone through pound CAD, pound AUD, pound New Zealand. Let's go through the euro pairs. Now looking at the euro pairs. So euro pairs, we've been looking at these to bounce firstly when this made a move here. One, we're looking at this one to be an expanding flat and expecting this. But again, as you can see, as much as you're focusing the direction right, if it's coming up correctively, you have to quickly change the structure like that. So this is a 3-wave structure to the upside here. We've got what looks like another flat correction here. That is a complex corrective structure. We'll look for this one to come here. Even if we do see a bounce here on this structure, we're going to expect this. Let's take this off here. So that will be in the white here, 1, 1, 2, 3 down. We'll expect another 1, 2, 3 possibly to come and retest here. Then we're going to have a 1, 2 here. Then you're going to have a ABC corrective structure here in the Y degree before continuing to the downside. Okay, guys, so as we hear, or those that are expecting, that are looking for the cryptocurrency webinar, that will be coming up shortly after this. Right, so that is a pound, euro pound. So expect a bit of a push to the downside and a bit of a bounce here before continuation to the downside to give us this structure. Right, that is euro pound, euro AUD. Euro AUD was our trade of the week. So we wanted euro AUD to break lower from here. We've come down, but it came down correctively. So you could be getting this structure here on euro AUD. Look for this to come tag here. We could be getting this one. So then move to the downside may be invalidated. Let's keep an eye on that. So that is euro AUD, euro New Zealand. Similar to pound New Zealand, we're going to expect euro New Zealand to continue to the upside. We've had this corrective structure here. Okay, so we've got this one as 1, 2, 3 there. Let's draw it cleanly. Let's not. It must be clear, a clear structure. This is a running flat here on euro New Zealand. So we'll expect this one to complete. We'll expect this one to do that, to complete as it has started here. So then we'll look for this one to only reverse around those levels. So euro New Zealand should continue to push up higher for the next coming sessions. Right now, this is EURCAD. EURCAD, we also had a trade here, looking for this to continue to the downside. But what has happened since the beginning of May? What has been happening? We have been going sideways. So what is the structure? Sideways structure. We are looking at this one to have made 1, 2. Now we'll be looking for this one to be making 3 down, not like that. So this is a move down. We're looking for this one to be making a structure like that. A move down. Then we'll expect this one. These lines are very important, guys. These are not just lines. These are completed structures. So you'll see what we focused on with these lines here on the cryptocurrencies, how accurate this has played out. This is what we call complex corrections. This is something that you won't find on the internet. Okay, so this is ABC corrective structure. It's not just about these numbers. These numbers mean very little if the structures are not identified correctly. So the numbers and the letters don't mean anything if your structures are not identified clearly. All right. So that is the first thing that we do on our course to understand the process of analyzing using the Elliott wave principle. I'm going to go to the weekly here on EUROCHF. Let's go to the weekly EUROCHF. So EUROCHF, we're looking for this one to bounce here and give us a push to the upside. This has played out in 3 waves actually. We started with these 3 waves to the downside here, WXY corrective structure. We've had a pullback here, and this pullback is coming at about 50% of the whole move. Are we going to see these 3 waves continue to the downside here on EUROCHF? So let's watch for that. So if we get a reaction here, it may just be coming to this level. So what we're going to expect is this here. We've got a 3-wave pullback. We can have a 3-wave move to the downside. We can have a bounce back here and a structure like this, and eventually we come down to this level. See how we forecast? This will be a WXY corrective structure, but we're not going to worry about the rest of the forecast. We are 90%, 95% correct, forecasting the next immediate move, but this could be anything from 40% to 70% accuracy, forecasting just the cycle without the indicator, without the cycle or anything like that. Currently we are here. A pullback here will result in this one coming down to this level. This could be a nice trade setup there on EUROCHF. AUD New Zealand, I'm going to stay on the weekly on AUD New Zealand so you can see what we are looking at here. AUD New Zealand, you should see this continue to the upside, at least back to the around this level here at 1, at parity. Okay, so we want to see AUD New Zealand go to parity based on this structure. So we've gone up in 3 waves. We've come back down here in an impulse. So here we've got what looks like a complex correction here, 1, 2, 3. Then we'll expect at least at parity for this to reverse. That is usually the area where AUD New Zealand reverses at parity. That is at the place where New Zealand and AUD are at 1 for 1. Okay, so continuation to the upside on the weekly, but let's have a look at this in the lower degree. Do you just now go and buy because the weekly is showing you upside? You have to look at the structure. Currently, you don't have a buy setup. You don't have a trade setup. So what would happen here is you'd get a setup if you get a pullback here, and that pullback should be at the correct fib level for you to take it up higher. So you'd wait for that. AUDCAD, just like USDCAD, also starting to make a base. We have made a push to the upside here as follows. Are we going to get this one to do that and continue to the upside? Let's watch out for that. AUDCHF, we're looking for this one to make a base as well and start pushing to the upside. So keep an eye on this. Let's check the RSI for divergence. Do you have? Yes, we do have divergence on the RSI. You can check that out. New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD, as much as we are still bullish, or rather bearish, we should see a bit of a pullback here as follows. A pullback to make this continuation pattern. So we'll expect this one to continue to the downside. So we'll want to see this one make a pullback like that. That is a New Zealand CAD, New Zealand CHF. New Zealand CHF, also we're expecting a continuation, a pullback here. So we've started a move to the downside in 3. This is a complex correction here in the running flat. We'll expect something like this before we push to the upside. Let's take this off so you can see why we're expecting this. Let's draw this in a different color, So we've got here 3 waves down. We're expecting again 3 waves down here before we push to the upside. That is New Zealand CHF. Let's keep an eye on that. And lastly, on the Forex pairs, before we go to the indices, we're looking for this CAD to continue here like that. So we could make a bounce here to around these levels and come back down here as follows. That will make this continuation pattern as follows. 1, 2, 3, ABC, and a move to the upside. So we are still sideways, as you can see on CADJPY. No new trade there. Let's go to the indices. Looking at the indices, the S&P 500. So the S&P 500, we have been looking for this to make a structure like this. 1, 2, 3, like this. 1, 1, 2, 3, corrective structure, a pullback. That would have been a flat correction, and then a move to the upside. Now let's check. Are we going to get that pullback? At this point, it doesn't look likely, so it means that this would have been all a correction, and we've already started a move to the upside. Now, if we've started a move to the upside, we'll only look for entries above this level here. Anything above that, if we get an entry, then we'll look to take it to the upside without getting that one more down that we're expecting there. Dow Jones will be similar, but Dow Jones is showing more signs of a downside than the S&P 500 would. But in any case here, we will also see the Dow Jones Industrial make a push to the upside. If we're going to get that pullback, we should have retested that area, and that would be a structure like this. A move down, a correction, and a move down before a resumption of the move to the upside. That is the Dow Jones and the S&P 500. And the NASDAQ is still playing out that corrective, that running flat. So the running flat is still in play. There's no new analysis here. As you can see, we are bullish with the running flat. So any sign of any continuation pattern like this, 1 hour or 4 hour, you look to take it up higher. That is the NASDAQ. Okay, the UK 100 expected to retest the previous high here. So this structure is what we're expecting on the S&P 500 for this to go retest the previous high, come back down before continue to the upside. That is on the UK 100. The DAX, we have since taken a trade around the blue box area at this point here. So remember, our blue box area is not a range, it's an exact point where we take the trade. So this was a three-way structure. This was the blue box. We made a move to the upside. Looks like we're getting a continuation pattern here on the DAX. Look for this to continue to the upside in the next coming sessions as well. All right, Nikkei. Nikkei is giving us a continuation to the upside as well. Again, this one we took from the blue box around this area. So this was from the blue box, now pushing to the upside. This should take you up higher, at least retest 3,000 on 3,700 here on the Nikkei. And lastly, on the indices, the Nifty, no new analysis there. As you can see, this is going up in 5 waves. You will expect the 4th and the 5th year before any bigger corrective structure on the Nifty. Still expect continuation to the upside. That's all for this week, guys. Trade responsibly. If you like what we do, please drop us a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. Also hit the bell notification button so you get an alert when we upload the video next time. And you can also drop us a comment, your suggestions. We appreciate that. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Trade responsibly. Cheers. Bye-bye.